Welcome back, everybody. This is Tom with Charlees Props, and today we've got something a little bit special for you. We've got our new spiral tree. This thing is pretty awesome. It can go between 5, 6, maybe even higher feet than that. It's double-sided. It's got 4 different spirals. It only takes 200 pixels, and you're actually going to watch me push those 200 pixels in on this video. We're going to watch and see how long it takes. Now that brings me into the other part that we're going to talk about, which is some flat back pixels. Now I don't have all the pixels that I was trying to order. We haven't received our order from your pixel store just yet, so we're going to do a follow-up video. And we also, another individual recommended that we check amperages of the differences between pixels, and we're going to do that. Once we get those items in, then we're going to do our follow-up video. But for now, let's talk about what we do have. What we do have today are a set of standard 50 bullet node pixels. We have a set of these, some are calling gumdrops, who knows what they're actually called, but these here are what I'm referring to as flat back pixels. And these right here are from, you can contact CCD LED, or you can contact Daniel LED. That's where these are from. And then these are those pixels, for similar style pixels from magical light shows. So let's get to it. Okay, so in this first part of this video, what I want to talk about is weight savings. Now it's probably hard to see exactly what this rate is, but I'll tell you what it's reading. Now this scale here is what we use for our shipping. It's pretty darn accurate, and it gives pounds and ounces. We're going to just look at ounces. So we've got our standard 18 gauge wire, X-Connect, 50 pixel string of bullet node pixels. These are the standard pixels that we've been using for quite a while. And these ones here currently weigh in at 12.5 ounces. Now we're going to move on to the Daniel LED flat back pixels. And these right here are weighing in at 8.9 ounces. So there is these weigh about 2/3 of the weight of a standard pixel. So there is some weight savings. But just looking at this, what it looks like is they've got a nice thick wire, and they've got a little bit more distance between pixels than your standard bullet pixels. And that's one of my other videos I talked about, and that's because when the wiring goes into these, they sell them as 4-inch space pixels. However, the reality is it's 4-inch from end to end or connection to connection. So that might be something like this, but as soon as these get pushed in, you notice that these curl up and you actually lose quite a bit of space. So when we're designing props, and we're looking at wiring, we have about 3.2 inches between pixels without these being strained too much. You don't have 4 inches. Now, when I did a previous video, I was talking about the Evo pixels. That was one of the huge benefits of the Evos, is you get closer to a true 4-inch spacing, meaning you could have holes that are spaced 4 inches apart, whereas you don't get that with standard pixels. And with these, it looks like they've got a much longer distance between the pixels. So you can see here the distance between these pixels, and because they're flat backed and the wiring doesn't have to turn when you're pushing them into a flat prop, you've got a much longer distance here. So you have about a 2/3 weight savings there, and now these are the magical light shows. Now they just feel a lot lighter just by feeling them. You can also tell that the pixels themselves are much smaller, much shorter than these others here. And you can see that there's between 1/4 and 3/8 of a height difference in the end of the pixel itself. And so when we weigh these, we get 7 ounces. So these are a little more than half the weight of your standard pixels, and they are a little bit lighter than the Daniel LEDs. So the win goes to the magical light show pixels when we're talking about weight savings. Ease of pushability. Now, standard pixel, like I said, it's a little bit harder to push. If I'm pushing this by hand, it takes a little bit of effort. What I like about these, again, is these weigh much more than those, but if I shake this around, it's not going anywhere. It's not going to come out all that easily. So standard pixels, we all know. From the magical light shows here, these have it's kind of hard to see from where you're at, but these have a larger little nub on the side, similar to what the Evos have, but it's a hard shell, unlike the Evo. These are a hard shell, so when they push in, you have to actually push it so that that nub goes into the back of this, and it's going to leave an indentation. Now, the companies that have those pixel relief cuts, maybe they're designed to go in, maybe they're designed to lock. If you do push them in and lock, you might run into that same wire issue, but at least with our props, when you push them in and those nubs just start to really bite into the Coro, you can notice here that the wiring is still perfectly flat and it's not being pushed against the Coro itself, so we're not going to run into some of those problems that we have experienced here with those Evo pixels. And then now we go to the Daniel LED, and this is why you're going to watch me push this prop. We're going to time the 200 pixels that get pushed into the spiral tree in the next section of this video, because these are hands down the easiest pixels to push. Now, I'm not going to say that this was difficult to push, but it did take quite a bit more effort. Now, these are designed where they've got little clips, kind of like what you see at the end of these, but it's actually at the back of it's at the back or bottom of these pixels, which is really interesting. Now, if you look at the design of this pixel, part of why it weighs a little bit more is because it's got more plastic on it than these Magical Light Show pixels, because the chip and the wiring is actually further back than where this hits the prop itself. Now, the downside of that I can see is these take up quite a bit more space than the Magical Light Show pixels. And on some of our super high density props, like our infinity spinner, there may not be enough room to fit some of these side by side in the in the infinity spinner, and the Magical Light Show pixels would fit. So again, as far as space saving and weight savings, the Magical Light Show pixels definitely win. But watch how easy these are to push in. No effort. You can hear it clicking. Absolutely zero effort required to push these in. Now you think, well, they're loose. Actually, they're not. So here I am, I'm pulling on this right here, and it's not coming out. These are exceptionally well designed in that they've got a clip on the back side that grabs that inner lip, that back lip of the Coro prop itself. So instead of pushing the pixel all the way through and it grabs the front of it, they were really smart and they made the clip at the back, so it just clips right in. You can probably hear it click. And again, it holds well. Now, they still come out pretty easily because that clips at the back. You're not forcing it all the way through that 10 millimeters of Coro. But I wanted to show you just how easy it is to push these. Next, you're going to watch me push 200 in. We're going to time it. I'll speed the video up, but at the end of it, we'll show how long it actually takes to push those 200 pixels in from start to finish. And then after that, we're going to light these up so you can see the difference. All right, everybody, so it's time to push this prop. This prop is really simple to push. It's just one circle that goes all the way to the middle, and again, the next one starts in the middle, goes all the way around. These are all still in bundles, so there's nothing that's pre-done, pre-ready. I'm not gonna pull these out individually. Those are the wrong pixels. But we are gonna push this prop, and we're gonna get going. We're gonna have a timer here going. We're gonna fast forward through this, but you're gonna be able to see the actual time that it takes. And we're gonna hit start now. Taking video.
What?
I'm taking video. You're in it. And that is 200 right there. 7 minutes and 36 seconds it took to push 200 of these pixels into this prop, ready to go, 2 strings. Alright everybody, we're to the part of the video where we're actually going to look at these pixels inside of a couple of props here. Now they're not fully populated, we're just trying to get an idea of what the props look like in the Coro itself. If I flip these up real quick, you can see that we have a total of 100 pixels. There's 50 from Magical Light Shows and 50 from Daniel LED. Looking at the color wash here from the Falcon F16 V3, we're looking at about a 30-foot extension, 30% brightness here. Plenty of light coming through, and the colors are effectively the same from them. If we look really quickly at these on the black core, because there's absolutely no light bleeding in this black, if we look really, really closely, and it may or may not show on camera, but there's a little bit of a design almost in the Magical Light Show diffuser itself that is not really present in the Daniel LED. There is something a little bit there, but it's pretty indistinguishable until you look really, really close. That's really, looking up closely, that's really the only way that you can tell. Looking from the side profile, they stick out about the same. Now in black, you notice, even though the diffuser is inside of the Coro, there's absolutely no light bleed in this prop in the black at all. And this comes down to personal preference, but in the white prop here, if we take a look, you actually see those flutes in the Coro. That's because, again, the diffuser is inside of the Coro itself, which means it's lighting up the inside of the prop, and the white is actually diffusing the light itself. Whereas the black stops it, the white is actually magnifying it as its own diffuser. So the prop itself starts to light up. Again, this comes down to personal preference. And then just to show the difference in colors, which there isn't a whole lot other than these have a little bit more of a crisp look to them. These are standard bullet pixels, but looking at them in black Coro, there's not a huge difference. Now you will see a difference in the white as I push through, all the way through. You'll see that there is no diffusion. Let's kind of block that. There is no diffusion of this light in the Coro itself. So that's it. I hope this video has been helpful. Watch for part 2, where we hook these up to an amp meter and then determine how much power these are actually pulling in comparison to one another. Don't miss it.